हिमाचल प्रदेश यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रोफेसर एस एस नाटा जी जो कि हमारे बीच मौजूद हैं, डायरेक्टर सीडीसी, डीन सीडीसी जो हैं, कॉलेज डेवलपमेंट काउंसिल मौजूद हैं, और हमारे डीएसडब्ल्यू और हमारे बहुत से डिग्नेटरीज, हमारे डीन्स, हमारे चेयरपर्सन्स, फैकल्टी मेंबर्स, हमारे जो यूनिवर्सिटी के डेडिकेटेड एंड कमिटेड जो यहाँ के हमारे नॉन टीचिंग स्टाफ हैं, उनके ऑफिसर्स जो हैं, उनके ऑफिशियल्स जो हैं, और हमारी वाइब्रेंट community, that is the students of Himachal Pradesh University. I welcome you all in this G20 University Connect. और जैसा कि हमारी परंपरा है कि हम किसी भी कार्यक्रम का शुरुआत जो है वो माँ सरस्वती के चरणों में ज्योति प्रज्वलन के उपरांत करते हैं। तो मैं अनुरोध करती हूँ हमारे ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर जी से कि वो मैडम के साथ, एम्बेसडर प्रीति सरन जी के साथ और हमारे डिग्नेटरी सिटिंग ऑन डायस के साथ जितने भी हैं उनके साथ ज्योति प्रज्वलन कर आज के कार्यक्रम का आगाज करें। शुभम करोति कल्याणम आरोग्यम धन संपदा शत्रु बुद्धि विनाशाय दीप ज्योति नमोस्तुते। हे माँ, हमें आशीर्वाद दें कि हम आपसे मतभेद भुलाकर भाईचारे एवं प्रेम की भावना से इस पृथ्वी पर परिवार की तरह रह सकें। धन्यवाद। हिमाचल प्रदेश विश्वविद्यालय के कार्यक्रम का आगाज विश्वविद्यालय के मधुर कुलगीत के गायन से होता है, जिसकी स्वर लहरियां मानस पटल पर एक अमिट छाप छोड़ जाती हैं। मैं अनुरोध करती हूँ कि कुलगीत के गायन हेतु आप सभी लोग अपने अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाएं। हिमाचल विश्वविद्यालय विविध विद्यालय जय जय, विविध विद्यालय जय जय। धराजो शक्ति पीठों की, धराजो कोटि तीर्थों की, धराजो शैल संस्कृति की, धराजो नृत्य गीतों की, जहाँ विभाषा चंद्रभागा पुण्य सलीलाएं कुसुम तलहार बनती है शतु कंग सहिताएं। धरा मानव ऋषि की परम पावन ज्ञान भेद हिमाचल विश्वविद्यालय विविध विद्यालय जय जय, विविध विद्यालय जय जय। रम्य धौलाधार पर्वत शिखराधिपति आदत प्यार की उन्नतियानित फैलती रहती विरक्ति आनाटी कर रचते गीत चंबा के स्वर श्री शारदा साकार आगती उमेद ये शास्त्रे च शास्त्रे भाषणंता मंत्र जो निर्भय हिमाचल विश्वविद्यालय विविध विद्यालय जय जय विविध विद्यालय जय जय देवतारुगणे तथागत सदृश लगे सुभग संदेश प्रतिभा निरंतर बाटते हिमाचल का परम गौरव सदन विद्या कला सदन विज्ञान का तकनीकियों का योग्यता निरंतर बढ़ रहा आगे उदित रविसा सतत समय हिमाचल विश्वविद्यालय विविध विद्यालय जय जय विविध विद्यालय विविध विद्यालय जय जय विविध विद्यालय जय जय जैसा कि आप सभी जानते हैं, G20 यूनिवर्सिटी कनेक्ट स्पेशल लेक्चर सीरीज के तहत जो आज का कार्यक्रम आयोजित किया जा रहा है, ये कार्यक्रम में RIS, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ हिमाचल प्रदेश यूनिवर्सिटी संयुक्त तत्वाधान में इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन कर रहे हैं। और हमारे बीच स्पेशल लेक्चर देने के लिए we have to make aware हमारे because the theme is engaging the young minds, vibrating minds of university, that's the main theme। और उसके लिए हमारे बीच मौजूद हैं एम्बेसडर प्रीति सरन जी, जो कि फॉर्मर सेक्रेटरी ईस्ट मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स इंडिया हैं। तो मैं विश्वविद्यालय के बिहाफ पर मैं अनुरोध करती हूँ माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर SP बंसल जी से कि वो एम्बेसडर प्रीति सरन जी का इस मौके पर विधिवत स्वागत करें। उन्हें जो है टोपी और शॉल पहनाकर फॉर्मली वेलकम जो है वो मैडम का करें। Ma'am, just a token of respect on behalf of Himachal Pradesh University in the form of a bouquet, cap, that's the Himachali cap, and the shawl, the warmth of this affection and gratitude that this university feels for you, ma'am. कि आप इतनी दूर से हमारे आए हैं, आपका हार्दिक अभिनंदन है, स्वागत है। थैंक यू सर। और अब मैं अनुरोध करती हूँ प्रो वाइस चांसलर प्रोफेसर राजेंद्र वर्मा जी से कि वो इस अवसर पर जो मैडम नियाति सिंह हैं, शी इज़ कंसल्टेंट RIS रिसर्च एंड इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम फॉर डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज न्यू दिल्ली, उनका स्वागत करें। पुनः फूलों का गुच्छ जो है उन्हें भेंट कर token of gratitude RIS is a think tank and Madam Niyati Singh, she is consultant in that think tank. Himachali cap and shawl again on behalf of Himachal Pradesh University, token of good wishes from Himachal Pradesh University. Thank you so much to be here with us on this occasion. Now may I request Dean of Studies, Professor B.K. Shivramji, to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor SP Bansalji, by presenting him cap and shawl. Thanks for encouraging to organize such activities in Himachal Pradesh University. For motivating and encouraging the young and vibratory minds. Thank you, sir. And may I request Registrar Dr. Virendra Sharma ji to welcome Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Rajendra Verma ji on this occasion again by presenting him cap and shawl. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's unique opportunity for India G20 presidency, that the presidency of the premium form from 1st December 2022 to 30th November 2023. It is the presidency of 19 countries and European Union of that G20 that has 2/3 of the world population, 85% of the GDP and 75% of the trade. And theme of India's presidency, One Earth, One Family and One Future, reinvigorating the philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. यह मेरा है, यह पराया है, ऐसे विचार छोटे हृदय के लोग करते हैं। विशाल हृदय वाले लोगों के लिए तो ये संपूर्ण पृथ्वी ही पूरा परिवार की तरह है। ये धारणा, that's the theme of the G20. And let's see the theme of G20 Indian Presidency 2023. May I request our IT professionals from your IT department for showing the video to the Augustus gathering sitting in the audience that pertains to the theme of the G20 Indian Presidency, please.
India, home to 1.3 billion people, is a confluence of religion, tradition, and customs. A thriving global center of technology and the world's largest democracy. As one of the oldest civilizations in the world with a rich cultural heritage and diversity, and as the 5th largest economy in the world, India is proud to assume the presidency of G20. As the country moves into a new era, we look to another poignant symbol for humanity to emerge victorious from challenges. The lotus, the national flower of India, represents our history and culture and symbolizes spirituality, fruitfulness, wealth, and knowledge. And that's the inspiration for India's G20 logo design. The design rendered in satin, white, green, and blue is drawn from the national flag of India. The 7 petals in the logo signify the 7 seas and the coming together of 7 continents at G20 India 2023. Sitting above the lotus is a representation of the earth, reflecting India's programmed approach to life and seeing the world as one family. From this, we derive the theme for G20 India 2023. Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. A theme that brings the G20's focus on shared global growth, while being in harmony with nature. G20 India 2023. One earth, one family, one future.
That's the message of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. You know that in the G20 presidency, 13 working groups that's functioning vigorously all over the country. More than 200 meetings they are going to be organized this month because in September 2023, when the official meet of the G20 leaders will be there, the deliberations, the discussions, the dialogues that comes out, the suggestions, the strategies, they will be put forward so that they can be used for the policy formulation. India is the rich heritage. We feel proud of the rich civilization of our country. This G20 presidency is the presidency of the largest democracy of the world, the presidency of the most populous country of the world. This is the voice, as presidency is the voice of the emerging global world power. Voice, Indian voice is president of G20. It is the voice of the emerging global South leadership. और इस वॉइस को हम एक अच्छे से शेप में अपनी रिकमेंडेशंस के रूप में सामने रख पाए एंड टुडेस प्रोग्राम दैट द यूनिवर्सिटी कनेक्ट प्रोग्राम इज जस्ट टू एंगेज द यंग माइंड टू मेक देम अवेयर दैट व्हाट दिस G20 प्रेसिडेंसी इज अबाउट दैट वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट एंड वी नो जो 13 वर्किंग ग्रुप्स हैं उनमें से एक वर्किंग ग्रुप्स है दैट इज द वर्किंग G20 एजुकेशन that will focus on deliberate to ensure the inclusive, equitable, relevant and quality education across the globe. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who is presently Vice Chancellor of Himachal Pradesh University as well as Vice Chancellor of Central University of Dharamshala, has the vast experience of giving his services as Vice Chancellor in 4 other universities. His contribution in the educational reforms, especially in the implementation of national education policy, is very appreciable. May I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor S.P. Bansari, to give the opening remarks and welcome the dignitaries who have come over to attend this function. Sir, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Yesterday only I came free from the neck visit of Central University Dharamshala, and today I am here. And it was a great experience. More than, as we did a lot of work for NEC here in Himachal Pradesh University also, but we have a now different kind of experience in this NEC of Central University, and very soon we will get the result. Hope for the best. Thank you very much. And this is a great day for us that Madam Preeti Saran, who is from Indian Foreign Services, joined in 1982 for Indian Foreign Services and superannuated as Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs in 2018, serving on various platforms as ambassador in Vietnam for 3 years, and she was having overseas assignment including Toronto, Geneva, Dhaka, Moscow and other countries as well. She is quite experienced, and presently because she re-elected for a second term as a member of the UN Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Right from 2023 to 2026, and as well she is also a member of the Governing Council and the Governing Board of the Indian Council for World Affairs. We are very lucky that you are here with us to deliver a special lecture, keynote address on this very important theme. And dignitaries on the dais, Professor Verma, Pro Vice Chancellor, our Dean of Studies, newly joined Registrar, and Professor Bhatt, Dean Planning and Teacher Affairs, who is taking care of this function, and Ms. Nyathi Singh, who is Consultant RIS, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, New Delhi, and Professor Harish in my front, all our statutory officers, deans, HODs, teachers, non-teaching staff, students, ladies and gentlemen. As all we know that India, of course, we consider India is very lucky that India has got a G20 presidency, which will work to promote the universal sense of oneness, that is with the theme, one earth, one family, one future. Though 75 iconic institutions, educational institutions selected by the ministry from Delhi, and we are very lucky that our university is selected for that purpose out of that 75 higher educational institutions. And all we know that in December 2022, which is really a moment of day for all of us, that India assumed the presidency of this G20 forum, taking over from Indonesia. As being the largest democracy of the world and the fastest growing economy, India's G20 presidency really will play a very important and crucial role in building upon the significant achievement as well as for analysis of those previous 17 presidencies, and India has a chance to go for all analysis of those 17 presidencies and to prove as a leader of world. And India has already proved also on various platforms, as the recent visit of our Honorable Prime Minister in G7 also, and on other platforms, already India has proved its competency, its power to the whole world. As it takes G20 presidency, India is on a mission to bring about a shared global future for all through the Amrit Kal. As we all know that we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Amrit Kal, and this is a very crucial year for all of us for celebrating. And that was the reason that 75 iconic higher educational institutions were selected for this 75 Amrit Kal years, which we are celebrating here. And of course, 6 important thematic areas which are covered under this G20 presidency. One is the green development, climate, finance, and life. Actually, life means that is very important thematic area, which is really discussed on various platforms in various meetings during this G20 year of presidency. And life means lifestyle for environment. That is very important area which is already covered. And the second very important thematic area is accelerated, inclusive, and resilient growth. And third area which is taken for accelerating progress in SDGs, because we all the whole world is concerned about this to fulfill all the goals towards the SDG 2030. We are moving towards, and we are working together for that SDG 2030 goals. And fourth, that is very important, is the technological transformation as well as the digital public infrastructure. And fifth very important area is the multilateral institutions for the 21st century, including the women-led development. And of course, in Himachal Pradesh University as well as in Central University, as I was also briefing you that in Central University we organized various programs on all these thematic areas, and we also compiled a document there in that Central University. And of course, here also in Himachal Pradesh University we organized certain activities under G20, this thematic area. The Group of 20 is an intergovernmental form comprising 19 countries. As we all know that the name of the countries including the Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mexico, Russia, and more important UK, USA, and other countries including. And this G20 members represent around, that is very important, that the 85% of the global GDP is being represented by all these G20. Over 75% of the global trade and about 2/3 of the world population belong to this G20. And that's the reason that how important this G20 is for deciding all important criteria at the world level, including trade and economy. Dear friends, as I already told you that this is a very important and crucial year for all of us, that when India is going to convene the G20 Leaders Summit for the first time in September uh, uh, 23, when 43 heads of the delegations, the largest ever in the G20, will participate in this very important final summit, New Delhi summit in September. And we also believe, because recently on 21st June, the whole world celebrated yoga under one theme. And because our Honorable Prime Minister was there in USA for celebrating this International Yoga Day under one very important theme, Vasudev Kutumbakam, that is, the world is one family. That is very important, and also in G20 also we have celebrated, we have taken and we have been brainstorming on this very important theme also, and series of meetings in various important destinations, including the Bangalore, Chandigarh, Chennai, Guwahati, Indore, Jodhpur, Khajuraho, Kolkata, Lucknow, Mumbai, Pune, Run of Kutch, and Surat, Trivandrum, and Udaipur. Already, many already convened, and many yet to be there in these destinations, which are already selected for G20. And of course, the priority areas for G20, which were there at the addressing global skill gaps and gig and platform economy and social protection and sustainable financing and social security. But today it's a very important theme which we have taken as far as the university is concerned. That is the engaging young minds. That's a very important theme today, which we are going to cover. And because we all know that youth can make an important contribution by addressing certain important issues related to sustainable development, encouraging entrepreneurship, and of course SMEs, promoting digitalization and innovation, and giving this G20 a new perspective with the help of some innovative as well as fresh ideas which already with them. It has also been observed that with the changing and progressive nature of India's economic growth and development, India's youth has great responsibility to play a very significant role, of course, to revive the nation's rich culture and to tell to the whole world about the rich culture of our country. That is very important. And as all we know that India's youth, specifically those between the age of 15 to 35, significantly constitute more than 30% of the nation's population. Also, because out of 140 crore population, or almost about 37 crore population belong to youth. That and in the time to come also, India will remain youth. That is also very important. Demographic dividend in favor of our country. That is also we have to take into mind. And with their innovations and with the innovations and new ideas of youth creativity and sheer enthusiasm, the Indian youth can significantly, of course, contribute to the India's G20 presidency. And with the launch of University Connect program, India's G20 presidency was formally inaugurated and saw significant youth participation at various places, particularly in the educational institutions. Over 80% of the youth in G20 nations believe that successful societies integrate people from all background and cultures, according to the G20 Global Youth Survey also, Y20 Youth Global Survey, which was conducted in 2020 also. And of course, in order to accelerate the integration of ICT-enabled education for sustainable development, youth role is very important for that matter also. And with the India's presidency, G20 has recognized the relevancy of SMEs in driving economic growth and job creation, and thus also committed to promote multiple business prospects during this year. And after that, yes, of course, India is going to convene on these 6 important areas which I have already talked about. That all the educational institutions are now coming forward to go for and preparing some kind of compendium on these very important thematic areas. And I'm very much hopeful that already, because the National Education Policy 2020 is a comprehensive and forward-thinking framework based on the fundamental principles of access, equality, quality, affordability, and accountability. And already we have implemented in all over India or in the country already any NEP 2020 is implemented, and in Himachal Pradesh University also, we have already adopted and we are going to implement this National Education Policy 2020. And dear friends, I'm very much hopeful that whatever the discussion will be here, and we are all here gathered to listen to a great speaker today, and I'm very much hopeful that it will be very useful, and these exchanges and interaction with the various delegates, and particularly with the international delegates, and we have also in agenda to invite some international delegates for this, and that will of course lay the foundation of a long-term and symbiotic interconnectedness among the young people of all G20 countries. And thank you very much for organizing, and I'm particularly thankful Professor Bhatt to take this initiative for organizing, and I'm very much thankful to Madam Pritish Saran selecting this university and giving us a sufficient grant to organize this activity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And now for delivering the special lecture with us, Ambassador Preeti Saranji, who has joined the Indian Foreign Services in 1982 and superannuated as Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. After superannuation, Madam is still active. She is an active member of the United Nations Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights from 2023 till 2026. She is also the member of the Governing Council and the Governing Board of the Indian Council for World Affairs. And Madam, despite of, being superannuated from such a high post, she is so humble and down to earth. कहते हैं ना कि इस हिमालय से कोई गंगा निकलनी चाहिए, और दिल्ली से निकल के ये गंगा हिमाचल प्रदेश विश्वविद्यालय में to just spread the knowledge, share the wisdom with us. May I request Ambassador Preeti Saranji to please come over the stage and share her wisdom of knowledge on this occasion and give the special lecture at the G20 Indian Presidency. Just give a big hand.
नमस्कार, good afternoon. Am I audible? सुनाई दे रहा आपको? I have to say I'm very delighted to be present here at the Himachal Pradesh University, and definitely humbled by this introduction given by both Vice Chancellor Professor S.V. Bansal as well as Professor Mamta Mukta. I don't think I deserve this introduction, so I feel very, very honored. But I'm especially honored to see all of you here today. इतनी बारिश होने के बावजूद आप लोग यहाँ आए, आपको थोड़ा इंतज़ार भी करना पड़ा, उसके लिए मैं बहुत आभारी हूँ, और आप लोग सबको देख के मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. मुझे कहा गया था कि आपको G20 के बारे में थोड़ी जानकारी दूँ. आई थिंक काफ़ी कुछ तो आपको वैसे भी जो अभी पहले रिमार्क्स प्रोफेसर मुक्ता एंड प्रोफेसर बंसल वाइस चांसलर ने दिए हैं, उनसे आपको काफ़ी जानकारी मिल गई होगी. उसके अलावा मुझे ज्ञात हुआ है कि आप लोग इस यूनिवर्सिटी में करीब 2 महीने से कई सारी आपने एक्टिविटीज़ करी हैं G20 के बारे में, G20 को लेकर के, तो इसके बारे में भी आपको काफ़ी इस संबंध में काफ़ी इसकी जानकारी हो गई होगी. तो मैं उनको फिर से दोहराना नहीं चाहूँगी, लेकिन मे बी आई विल जस्ट गिव यू अ लिटिल बिट मोर इन्फॉर्मेशन अबाउट द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ G20 for India. Moreover, the importance of the participation of Himachal Pradesh University and your participation in this G20 event, I think, is more important to me. Coming here back to Shimla after 40 years. मैं 40 साल पहले जब मैं फॉरेन सर्विस ज्वाइन किया था, तो हम लोग को मसूरी में ट्रेनिंग मिलने के बाद हमें यहाँ पर ट्रैक के लिए भेजा गया था. इंडो टिबेटन बॉर्डर फोर्स ने हमारी देखभाल करी थी, और फिर आखिर में फिर हमने जब सारा ट्रैक पैक कर लिया, फिर हमें शिमला ले आया गया था, और हम वो यारूज़ है जो ऑडिट्स एंड अकाउंट्स का जो इंस्टीट्यूट है उसमें हमें ठहराया गया था। उस वक्त नेचुरली मसूरी से आए थे तो कंपेयर कर रहे थे कि शिमला और मसूरी में क्या अंतर है। और मुझे अब आज 40 साल बाद फिर से वही कंपैरिजन करने की ज़रूरत पड़ गई है, क्योंकि अभी हाल में ही मैं ऋषिकेश गई थी, देहरादून गई थी, उससे पहले नैनीताल वगैरह भी होके आई हूँ, मसूरी भी जा चुकी हूँ, पिछले साल मसूरी भी गई थी जहाँ मेरी शुरुआत ट्रेनिंग की हुई थी। तो मैं यही देख रही हूँ कि हिल स्टेशंस में क्या कंपैरिजन है और क्या अंतर है, क्या क्या चेंज हुआ है। सबसे पहले तो आप लोग को इस बात का अभिनंदन करती हूँ, आप लोग सबको जितने हिमाचली वासी हैं उन सबको कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट करना चाहूँगी कि हिल स्टेशंस पे जो जोर पड़ा है, जितने फुटप्रिंट्स होते हैं पिलग्रिम्स के, टूरिस्ट ट्रैफिक देखते हुए, डेवलपमेंट देखते हुए, मेरे ख्याल आपने बाकी हिल स्टेशंस को देखते हुए एनवायरनमेंट की रक्षा करी है, प्रोटेक्ट किया है, वो बहुत ही क्रेडिटेबल है। तो आप लोग को इसके लिए बहुत बहुत कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस। आई एम श्योर आप लोग जब इस यूनिवर्सिटी से निकलेंगे ज़रूर जो भी आपका प्रोफेशनल चॉइस होगी, जो भी आप चूज़ करेंगे, लेकिन एनवायरनमेंट जो कि हमारे G20 के थीम में भी बहुत अहमियत रखती है, इसको लेकर के मेरी आपसे गुजारिश है, इसको आप ज़रूर नंबर 1 प्रायोरिटी दीजिएगा। कहने को हम कहते हैं कि टुडे वी आर द लार्जेस्ट पॉपुलेशन इन द वर्ल्ड, दैट वी आर वन ऑफ द फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग लार्जेस्ट economies in the world, that we have this youth dividend which will take us to much higher levels. We are growing at 7% in spite of the COVID, which put us back many years, many decades actually. But I would say that sustainable development and respect for environment is something that will be key to, I think, the growth of our country, the growth of Himachal Pradesh, the growth of Shimla as a city, growth of all the other neighboring places, or any other city that you would go to. And I think afforestation, respect for environment, frugal living, I think become very, very important aspects. Something that it comes naturally to all Indians, but I think it comes even more to people who live in Himachal Pradesh. So congratulations for that, and you will, I think, therefore have a big responsibility of taking the leadership of sustainable development, of telling the story that we need to grow. Of course we need to go. We are a developing country. We have many people who still live below the poverty line. We have credit that we have pulled so many millions of people out of poverty, certainly in the last decade. But in spite of it, because of it, I think a large responsibility also rests, especially upon this youth that we are so proud of, you as the future of this country, of this state, and of this university. So I thought I must give you this little 2 bit of my knowledge and information, something I feel very passionately about, and for which I think Shimla, Himachal University, and Himachal Pradesh all can be the torch bearers for the rest of our country. The G20, I think you've already heard a lot about it, that it was founded in 1999, that it comprises of 20 most influential countries in the world, that it represents 2/3 of the world's population, that it represents 75% of trade and 85% of world GDP. So you can see how influential this group is. The fact that India is assuming presidency of this grouping for the first time naturally puts the same amount of responsibility upon India as sustainable development, as the responsibility becomes for the people of Himachal Pradesh. Why is this G20 being talked about so much? It's not as though India has not hosted summits in the past. We have, for example, अगर आपको याद होगा 2018 में हमने आसियान जो एसोसिएशन ऑफ साउथ ईस्ट एशियन नेशंस हैं 10 देश हैं, उनको हमने बुलाया था एक समिट के लिए जनवरी में, और उन्हें हमने रिपब्लिक डे पे चीफ गेस्ट की तरह भी बुलाया था. फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम वी हैड 10 prime ministers and presidents of 10 countries, as all of them as chief guests for our Republic Day. It's nothing that has not happened before. So you can imagine the bandobast and the arrangements that have to be done in terms of security, protocol, and other things that were rested with the government in January 2018 when we hosted that summit. उससे पहले हमने 2016 में we hosted the BRICS BIMSTEC summit in Goa. That was in October. And in that we had invited all the presidents and prime ministers of the BRICS countries, along with the prime ministers and presidents of the BIMSTEC countries. BIMSTEC is the leaders of the Bay of Bengal region, 8 countries from this region. Then we've also held a summit of the Forum for India Pacific Island countries, and that was held in 2014. We've held an Africa summit again in 2014. We've held some other very major events, but what marks, you would know that when the current NDA government came to power in 2014, our Prime Minister had invited all the leaders from the SAARC countries, from the South Asian countries, for his swearing-in ceremony. And again in 2019, he invited all the leaders of the BIMSTEC countries for the swearing-in ceremony. So India is used to inviting big leaders to come for major big events. But in G20, what makes it different is, one, 20 leaders from the most influential countries. In addition to that, we've also done an outreach and invited some of our crucial neighbors, like the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, like the Prime Minister of Mauritius, 2 other leaders from Africa, from Nigeria, from Egypt. Then there is some other leaders from other countries who've been invited for this G20. So it's a major flagship event, perhaps the most important that we've ever held in the last decade or so. What makes this different is that it has been a year-long celebration. And it has been a celebration not just of government contacts where the ministers, for example, met just about a few weeks back in Banaras, in Varanasi. It was called the G20 Development Ministers meeting. There has been a meeting of finance ministers of G20. There has been a meeting of tourist ministers in Srinagar. There have been other ministerial level meetings. But what makes the G20 presidency of India different from all other summit meetings that India has held is that it has tried to incorporate the participation of everybody, particularly the youth, which is why we've done about hundreds of events relating to Youth Connect or the University Connect. That this is apparently the RIS itself, Niyati Singh told me that about 75 to 100 events are being planned with different universities all over our country to be able to talk about the importance of India's membership of G20, of India's participation of G20, of being able to make you understand India's position in the global world, especially where G20 is concerned. So if India is today respected enough to be part of the most influential group, and it happened gradually. It started with 1999, and then in 2007, during the global financial crisis, it was India that was invited along with China as part of the solution. Who bothered about India some years back when we were just a developing country? But today, everybody recognizes that without India, you cannot have global solutions. Today, you would be reading so much about the Ukraine conflict, and that has led to a crisis in fuel prices, in fertilizer prices, in food grains, etc. You would have read what is the internal developments that are taking place in France. You would have read of other situations. We've just emerged out of COVID. There are other conflict situations, including within our own neighborhood. We have a big problem with our northern neighbor, China. Apart from the ongoing problem that we've had with Pakistan for so many decades. But in spite of all these challenges, the fact that today India is considered important as part of a solution to global problems is something that, of course, brings big responsibilities, but it also shows that today your country, our country, is a more confident India, a more resurgent India, an India that will not only be the engine of growth for its 1.4 billion people, but will also be the engine of growth for the rest of the world. And that is why, as responsible citizens of an ancient civilization like ours, the mother of democracy, as our Prime Minister calls it, but also the largest democracy in the world, I think what India sets an example is about pluralism, about tolerance, about diversity, about democracy, about grassroots level participation, about the participation of each and every citizen, that your views matter, that your actions matter. Everything that you do also collectively impacts on the growth of our country and in turn sets an example for the rest of the world. And that is where I think our presidency of G20 takes a very important turn in today's context. The G20 at the government level has had many tracks, I think Professor Mamta Mota also explained to you that there are different tracks. There is a finance track, there is a Sherpa track, and then there's the engagement groups. And that is where the universities and the youth connect and the civil society participation becomes extremely important in this year-long celebration, where particularly the youth, the women, think tanks, etc., have been involved. The fact that, our presidency of G20 comes at a time when we are also celebrating 75 years of our own independence, what we call Amrit Ka, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And this, we say, is now the Amrit Kal. The next 25 years will be crucial, of course, for our country, but will also be crucial in leading up to the centenary of our independence celebrations, which will be futuristic, which will be inclusive, where we aspire to be a developed society, where we aspire to take away or bring a certain level of equality and sufficiency for our entire population. If we are able to pull out 1/6 of the world's population towards development and growth, I think we make a huge contribution to humanity. And I think that is where, again, India's role as a leader, both in G20 and as a country, becomes an important one. So here I'll quote from our Prime Minister, and he said, inverted commas begin, "Today there is an unprecedented curiosity in the world to know and understand India. Today, India is being studied in a new light. Our current successes are being assessed, and unprecedented hopes are being expressed about our future." Unquote. He also said, "In such an environment, it is the responsibility of the citizens to go beyond these expectations and acquaint the world with India's capabilities, philosophy, social and intellectual strength." Unquote. And it is in this context that the theme of One Earth, One Family, One Future, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, something that you perhaps heard your grandmothers talk about, but today it's become the biggest buzzword as far as India is concerned, or a message that India gives to the rest of the world. And therefore, this whole subject of sustainable development becomes a very important aspect of India's growth story. In our own global engagement, when we reach out as part of our external affairs, our foreign policy, we have seen that there is a lot of interest in some of India's greatest achievements. And the recent ones, of course, include our digital delivery system, the public health response that we gave during COVID. You would have, of course, also read about the criticism, suddenly lockdown की वजह से इतने सारे बेरोजगार हो गए, इतनों को घर छोड़ के वापस जाना पड़ा, वगैरह वगैरह. लेकिन the fact that we could control nearly 1.4 billion population from any further, China, where it originated, continues to, I just had somebody return from Beijing, and they are still, really protecting themselves to zero-tolerant COVID protocols, etc. But we are not. The fact that we were able to deliver 2 billion doses free of cost of India-made vaccines, not just to our own people, but to many developing countries when they were being denied vaccines and crucial drugs to manage the COVID pandemic. It was India that stood as the pharmacy of the world to be able to save not only its own population, but many other parts of the developing poor parts of the world, is something that is maybe a few years down the line more recognized, but it is something that was unprecedented. It's something that we should be very proud of. It's something that we should have learned lessons from to be able to do better. There is also an enhanced interest in our democratic traditions. The fact that we are able to hold peace, जो त्राही मची है उस तरह का हमारे देश में कभी नहीं हुआ है और ना होना चाहिए और ना ही होगा. So there is a lot that we have to be proud of in terms of what we have achieved as a nation, in terms of our achievements. I will quickly run through my notes because I had made many, but I'll stick to the points which were not said by our previous speakers. But I think one important aspect that our G20 presidency also highlights is that even as we grow, even as we have aspirations for development, to meet the dreams of our 1.4 billion people, we have not neglected the rest of the developing countries, which is why the issue of engaging the global south, there is the north, which has traditionally been the richer countries in Europe and North America, and then there's been the south, the countries in Asia and Africa, which are why they are called, the developing countries are termed as global south. But even as we grow, I think we have, as part of our chairmanship of G20, made it a point that if we will speak for development, for causes of development, for sustainable development, we will also speak on behalf of the global south, that is the developing countries, who sometimes become victims of actions which they did not start. For example, the Ukraine crisis. It is a problem which is entirely a problem of the European countries. It is the European countries who caused the First World War. It is the European countries who caused the Second World War. And now it is the same European countries who have a crisis within themselves, but because they cannot manage their problems internally, their problems become our problems. Because it is the Ukraine crisis that led to shortage of fuel, led to shortage of grains, led to shortage of fertilizers for other parts of the world, particularly it is the developing world. And that is where, India has assumed the leadership, that if we will speak on behalf of the global south and put forth the problems of development and developing countries rather than allow ourselves to be impacted by actions of other people. Sustainable development, of course, leads to many important initiatives that our own Prime Minister has launched. One is the lifestyle for environment. One is the millet, the use of millet, again, which is sustainably a very important crop that we should all be adopting, and I know we've adopted it. This morning, I had breakfast in my hotel, and I was amazed to see that there were regular idlis being served, but that there was also ragi idli being served. So it's become very much part of our daily consumption patterns because it is pro-planet, it is pro-people, and it focuses on individual behavior, on how to live sustainably. And here I'll tell you a story. I was posted in Toronto. I was the Consul General, and thanks to the government of India, I was given a huge house. मैं एक अकेली उस घर में रहती थी, और उस घर को चाहे गर्म करना हो, चाहे ठंडा करना हो, एक सेंट्रल एयर कंडीशनिंग चलती थी, जिसमें जाहिर है काफ़ी कार्बन फुटप्रिंट्स होते होंगे, बट दैट इज़ द लाइफस्टाइल दैट द कैनेडियंस एंड द रिच कंट्रीज फॉलो. अब हमारे देश में भी गर्मी इतनी पड़ती है, आप शिमला में रहते हैं, यहाँ बर्फ़ भी पड़ती है, लेकिन ज़रूर आपको सेंट्रल हीटिंग नहीं मिलती होगी. आप ज़रूर जो भी जिस कमरे में बैठे हैं उसी को आप हीट करके उसी से काम चलाते हैं. हम लोग को अब वहाँ पर इतने अफराद सब कुछ मिलता है तो पूरे एक टब से नहाते हैं. एक एक इंडिविजुअल विल थ्रो अवे 10 buckets of water just to take one dip in that tub. Whereas, we will take a bath in just half a bucket of water and we'll manage it all right. And I think we remain cleaner than they do. So these are examples of frugal living, of lifestyle living, where India can set a big example. In fact, जब climate change वगैरह पे international conferences में जब बहस होती है, सबसे पहले वो यही आके हमसे कहते हैं कि तुम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा कार्बन प्रिंट फेंकते हो, तुम लोग का third largest emitter of carbons. It is the same countries through the Industrial Revolution, which is these rich countries of Europe and North America, when they were going through their Industrial Revolution and they lived irresponsibly, why today all these landslides and the floods and the other natural disasters that we face today is on account of their irresponsible lifestyles that they lived or have been living for the last 200 years. We point out to them that we may be the third largest carbon emitters, but per capita carbon emission of India on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is the highest, which is USA, 7 is perhaps China. India comes somewhere near 3. You know, we are perhaps the most sustainably frugal, conscious of environment people that we are. That said, I don't think I would want to give a free pass to all of us, you, me, all of us, to the kind of plastic we go and throw all over the place. When I was comparing and congratulating you about Shimla in comparison to, say, Rishikesh, it is only because my last memory of Rishikesh was the number of pilgrims, गंगा में डिप कर लिया, पूजा कर ली, सब कुछ, सब आपको मोक्ष वोक्ष सब मिल गया, और उसके बाद सारा कचरा वहीं पर आपने गंगा में फेंक के या वहीं पहाड़ पे फेंक के आप आ गए. आपको क्या मुक्ति वहाँ से मिलेगी? मुझे लगता है कि इस तरह तो भगवान भी आपको नहीं माफ़ कर सकते. तो I would say that, you know, we should keep in mind our good practices, but also be very mindful of our very irresponsible practices like throwing away of plastic and deforestation and stuff like that. And it is in this context that our Prime Minister took this responsibility that, of course, we have to grow. If we have to fuel our industrial growth, if all of us, if our children have to get basic education, electricity or availability of water and electricity are the basic that we have to be provided. So we will continue to use coal and other fossil fuel to fuel our industrial growth. But at the same time, we have taken a responsibility and made an international commitment that we will be net zero by 2070, and that we have already crossed certain levels of ethanol mixed with fossil fuel, and that we have taken the initiative of what is called the International Solar Alliance, that we already reached more than 40% of our energy requirements through new and renewable energy, including wind and solar, etc. And so there the responsibility or the establishment of the International Solar Alliance is an important development done entirely at the initiative of India and Government of India, where we talk about one sun, one world, one grid, where our electricity will try to become more and more sustainable. I think some of the other good examples that we can set for the rest of the world include the unified payment interface, the evolution of the number of startups that we have been able to come up with. India is today ranked number 3 as a fintech strength after USA and China. And the number of unicorns that have come up, perhaps we are the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world today. Since I'm at the university, I'm sure Professor Bansal and other distinguished professors on the podium and in the audience will know better about the national education policy. But I think the purpose of the national education policy has been holistic, futuristic, on the foundational principles of access, of equality, of quality, of affordability, and accountability. So these are some of the important achievements that I think we should be showcasing and are showcasing as part of our G20 initiatives. I don't know whether the government of Himachal Pradesh plans to do any more G20 related events, because the summit will take place in New Delhi on 9th and 10th of September. But I think you have done a few events in the past, and perhaps the university will continue to do so. I would urge that please be very much part of it. Use this opportunity to showcase the best things about the University of Himachal Pradesh, the best things about Shimla, and the best things about Himachal Pradesh and your famous hospitality, Atithi Deva Bhavo. You know, that is something that you are famous for, and I think these are some things that you could be torchbearers of and represent our country. As far as India and its outreach is concerned, I would say today we are looking at a more confident India, a more resurgent India, but also, as I mentioned earlier, in India that is going to be a solution to many of the problems in the rest of the world. And we started first, of course, domestically, and then we started by building our bridges and friendships with the neighborhood, with our neighboring countries. And then we've moved towards what is called the Act East policy and the Look West policy, where we have built friendships with the ASEAN, with Japan, with South Korea on the eastern side, with the Central Asian republics. 2 days back, our Prime Minister hosted virtually the summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And that comprises largely of course, India, Russia, China, and the Central Asian republics. Iran recently became a member of that. So India's outreach as far as its foreign policy is concerned, and if you were to look at the map of India as a peninsular India, we have to maintain very good relations both with Eurasia, which is the landmass on our north, and then as a maritime power as part of the Indo-Pacific. And that has been the thrust of India's foreign policy, which we have followed consistently, certainly accelerated in the last 10 years. And I'm sure you've read about it, and I'd be very happy to answer more questions in that context. I will merely say that no matter what professions you join after you've graduated from the university, perhaps some of you will write the UPSC and aspire to be civil servants. Perhaps you may want to join the IAS, like our registrar who would be serving the government of Himachal Pradesh as part of the administrative service of Himachal Pradesh. You may want to join the Indian Foreign Service. Certainly you'll be serving your country any which way, whether you join the government or you work in your individual capacities. Perhaps if you give a boost to India's private sector, perhaps you would be serving the country even more, because I think without the private sector not flourishing in our country, we cannot leave it alone to the governments to do the job of our development responsibilities. So I will merely say that as a senior person who has seen a bit of the world, one, that I find it always a pleasure to interact with the younger generation, who are the future of the country. And two, I never fail to tell you all that please be very proud of the country you represent. I represented my country for 36 years, formally as a diplomat when I was posted abroad. And when I spoke about my country, and when people heard about my country in the kind of ways in which we have preserved our 5,000 years of culture, of what we are to be proud of. It's not, we are a young democracy, we've just 75 years plus of independence, but we have with us 5,000 years of traditional knowledge and culture, which we have preserved. And I'll give you a very small example. When I was posted in Geneva, वहाँ पे यूनाइटेड नेशंस है, बहुत बड़ी कमिटी रूम की टेबल पे हर देश का एक नुमाइंदा, एक रिप्रेजेंटेटिव आता था. All the men will be dressed in dark suits. All north, south, east, west, कहीं का भी हो, वो you can identify the men only in their dark grey suits. All the women from other parts of the world would be either in black or red. You know, those are the traditional formal colors. They'd be either in a suit pant or a dress or a skirt or a shirt or a jacket, and that's it. I was perhaps the only person representing my country. I would show up one day in a black sari, another day in a turquoise sari, another day in a green or a yellow or an orange. And, you know, I was the only one who brought all that variety and all that color. And the fact that I was the only one who was wearing my traditional costume. So this is just a small example of how India, we don't realize it. It's only when you watch ourselves overseas that you see how we are able to represent and keep a lot of our traditional knowledge. Yoga is another one. And our Prime Minister recently, when he was in New York, mentioned that we are not charging any patents, copyrights, nothing. It's all free for you. An American company or any other multinational company would have charged you thousands of dollars in patents. You know, if that is एक sandwich बनाने का उन लोग patent कर देते हैं. So, you know, that's the kind of commercialization of knowledge that the Western communities or the patent regime does. But we have been, you know, let's say the leaders or the Vishwa Gurus or whatever you might say. So you represent a large part of that. That doesn't mean we don't face challenges. That doesn't mean we don't have problems. That doesn't mean that we cannot do better. So I would say, as you know, take on more responsible roles in society, do remember that even as you serve your immediate family members, also remember that it's important and incumbent upon all of us to serve our country, of whom we should be very proud. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. You have rightly said this is the time to showcase your best practices, your traditions, your culture, and feel proud. And don't ask what your country has given to you. Ask what you can give to your country That sentiment that's very required at this moment. You have rightly said, ma'am, sustainable development. That's very much required. IPCC 2023 report has already given the warning. There's a likely that 50% rise in the 1.2 degree temperature from 2023 till 2040. That's the warning. And that lifestyle environment that's required. क्योंकि ये धरती हमारे पास पुरखों की विरासत नहीं, आने वाली जनरेशन की अमानत है और इस अमानत में खयानत ना हो जाए, इसके लिए we have to function, we have to work cautiously. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us so much of insight into the G20 presidency. और अब इस कार्यक्रम की कड़ी को आगे बढ़ाते हैं. And we have with us our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajendra Verma ji, who is very simple, docile and considerate, and he is basically from the law department with the legal knowledge he has. May I request Professor Rajendra Verma ji to give special remarks on this occasion. Please, sir.
Thank you, Professor Mamta Mota. Ambassador Preeti Saran, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs. Professor S.P. Bansal, Honorable Vice Chancellor, HP University and Center University at Dharamshala. Ms. Niyati Singh, Consultant, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, New Delhi. Professor Balkishan Shivram, Dean of Studies, HP University. Dr. Virendra Sharma, Registrar, HP University, and all the dignitaries on the dais and the other side of the dais, and faculty members, non-teaching staff, and the students. As we know, G20 represents the world's major economies and plays a significant role in shaping global economic policies. Each year, the presidency of the G20 rotates among its member states, giving them the responsibility to set the agenda and drive the discussion to key global issues. The G20 presidency comes with a set of key objectives. First and the foremost, it aims to promote strong, sustainable, and balanced economic growth. This involves coordinating policies that support job creation, enhance trade, and ensure financial stability. The presidency also focuses on fostering an inclusive and resilient global economy that benefits all segments of society, including most vulnerable. Additionally, the G20 presidency aims to address pressing global challenges beyond economic issues. Climate change, for instance, has become a central concern for the G20. As the world faces the urgent need to mitigate and adapt to climate change, the G20 presidency plays a crucial role in advancing international efforts to combat this global threat. It involves promoting sustainable development, supporting clean energy transitions, and implementing climate-related policies that align with the Paris Agreement. Another important aspect of the G20 presidency is enhancing global governance and cooperation. The G20 seeks to strengthen the multilateral system and improve the functioning of international institutions. It encourages dialogue and collaboration among countries to address issues such as international trade, taxation, and digitalization. The G20 presidency provides a platform to build consensus and find common ground on complex global issues that require collective action. The G20 presidency carries immense responsibility and opportunity to shape the global agenda. It is a platform to foster economic growth, address pressing challenges, and promote international cooperation. The G20 presidency vision encompasses sustainable development, climate action, inclusive growth, and strengthening global governance. By leveraging its collective power and diverse expertise, the G20 can make a significant impact in shaping a better future for our interconnected world. Inclusivity lies at the core of our decision-making process. We recognize that collective wisdom emerges from diverse perspectives. By incorporating diverse voices, we can craft policies that are equitable, effective, and responsive to the needs of nations and societies worldwide. Our vision for a future that embodies the theme of one earth, one family, one future. This powerful theme encapsulates the essence of our collective responsibility towards fostering a harmonious and sustainable world for generations to come. One Earth reflects our commitment to safeguarding our planet, recognizing that we all share a common home. The G20 presidency acknowledges the urgent need to address climate change and its devastating effects. We understand that the consequences of inaction transcend borders, affecting every nation and every individual. Therefore, as the ambassador of the G20, India assures the world that we are steadfast in our determination to champion sustainable development and combat climate change. We strive to protect our environment, preserve biodiversity, and mitigate the impacts of climate change through decisive actions and inclusive policies. One family symbolizes our recognition that despite our differences, we are all interconnected, bound together as members of a global family. The G20 presidency embraces diversity and inclusivity as fundamental pillars of our work. We seek to foster dialogue, understanding, and cooperation among nations, promoting respect for human rights, cultural diversity, and social inclusion. By valuing the richness that comes from diverse perspectives and experiences, we can forge a world that celebrates unity, equality, and inherent dignity of every individual. One future signifies our unwavering commitment to shaping a better world for present and future generations. The G20 presidency recognizes that our actions today profoundly impact the trajectory of tomorrow. We strive to create a future that is characterized by the sustainable economic growth, shared prosperity, and social well-being. Through our collective efforts, we aim to eliminate poverty, reduce inequality, and ensure access to quality education, healthcare, and essential services for all. By investing in human capital and empowering individuals, we can build a future that is more equitable and resilient. Let us remember that we are custodians of this planet, members of a global family, and architects of the future. By embracing our shared responsibility, nurturing our planet, fostering unity, and pursuing a future that leaves no one behind, we can create a world that future generations will be proud to inherit. After this, I'm not going to take much time, rather, and thank you. Thank you for especially the Ambassador Preeti Saran to spare the time here, and Jai Himachal, Jai Vishwavidyalaya.
Thank you, Professor Rajendra Vanu. Now, may I request our next speaker, our Dean of Studies, Professor B.K. Shivramji, who is a very eloquent speaker, vibrant and eloquent speaker, to share his wisdom words on this occasion. Please.
Namaskar. Good afternoon, all dignitary on and off the dais, faculty member, dear student, non-teaching staff. धन्यवाद.
Thank you all for your gracious presence on this program being organized as a part of the India presidency of the G20, which is being organized in collaboration with Ministry of the External Affairs, Government of India, and a Research and Information System for Developing Country, which I guess this is the Delhi-based Autonomous Policy Research Institute. We indeed are deeply honored to have with us Ambassador Priti Saran, former Secretary, External Affairs Minister, who just provided with important inputs and information on G20 Indian presidency. We are also privileged to have with us Ms. Niyati Singh. She is a consultant at Research and Information System for Developing Country at Delhi. A very special welcome to all the students who have joined us due to preparatory holidays on the campus and due to the bad weather condition. Their turn-up, as we can also see, is indeed very thin. As we also know, we have the world's largest young populations. The outreach program, University Connect, engaging young minds, is mostly youth-oriented to create awareness among the young students about the G20 and India's presidency for the year 2023, and also how it will affect the student and what are the responsibilities they can take up as a youth. This is indeed an opportunity for the young generation to bring in new ideas and a perspective to the G20 related topics. The student can also highlight, if they wish, if they actively participate in the G20 program through the social media to bring in attention to their inputs. Younger indeed, they are our future. They are our hope. They are the nation builder. They are the leader of the tomorrow. In an outreach, indeed, we must admit it, our culture indeed is a very rich culture. The principles such as Vasudev Kutumbakam, Sarvadharam Sambhav, these are the part of the Indian society since ages. Inclusiveness, in form of the religious, caste, regional, are the part of our culture and are enshrined in the principle of Indian Constitution as well. As a part of the G20 presidency, there only we need to do that. We need to spread this message to the world. This responsibility, of course, honestly lies upon the shoulder of our young generation. We must admit our G20 presidency is taking place at a very crucial moment in our international affair. It is a particularly vital, thus world leader focus on the right issues, especially those that affect the more vulnerable section of the world, particularly of the developing country. G20 is a diverse platform, as we also know, that seeks to approach common ground on the key issue among prominent countries. India's endeavor is to make consensus more relevant through a wider process of consultation, multilateral engagement, which indeed is the key for the safety, that's the key for the security, and the key for the prosperity. Harmonious various interest was something that has been deeply ingrained in our Indian history and the culture. India is the mother of the democracy, as we all know it. We have long been a pluralistic, of course, not in any case, majoritarian society and consultative society, which have debated issue openly before we arrive at a decision. We have differences, but we always grow together. In the G20 presidency has a message to the world. We have to grow together. As a problem we face, pose problem for all. India's message to the world through G20 presidency is that we have a one earth, we have a one family, and we have the one future. India outlook has always been that everybody should benefit from the advancement. India's endeavor indeed through this G20 presidency is to make this presidency the presidency of the healing, harmony, and the hope. Under this outreach program, University Connect, engaging young mind, as I have said, to whom we wish to engage with, their turn-up of course is a very thin year. As per the advisory we received from the UGC in the month of the January 2023, our institution, Himachal Pradesh University, during last 3 and 4 months, involved students in a range of events to create awareness among the students about Indian presidency of G20. Event that we organized on the campus during the last 3 and 4 months, sports, cultural, yoga activities, seminar, quiz, poster making, painting. We also conducted the Swachhta campaign around our campus. All were branded as G20 event. I guess Professor Mukta, she shall announce the result of the select few at the end of this program. Logos, poster and standees of G20 were displayed at location of this event. We also organized a listener seminar, G20 and the Indian's vision, wherein we are also invited the speaker from there was some Delhi-based speaker, there was also the speaker from the Chandigarh and the other part of the India. They had also come in that seminar. They delineated that's a major theme and the concern of the G20 forum and the role of the India in taking up the issue of the local and the global concern on behalf of the developing countries. All the activities that we organize in connection with the G20 were amplified through the locals and the social media platforms. On behalf of the university authorities and dealing with academic matters, I request all our students not only to bring G20 into our lives, but also become its brand ambassador, to spread awareness regarding Indians' role in the world to more and more people, particularly in the small hilly state of Himachal Pradesh. India's G20 presidency, as we could also see, this is a mega national event. So let's come together and participate in it, immerse in it, propagate it, so that it become imprinted in our memories for all times to come. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Himachal.
Thank you, Professor V.K. Shivram. May I again request our next panelist, Professor Harish Thakur, who is a man of literary taste, man of wisdom and knowledge, to share his words of wisdom on this occasion.
Namaskar, Ambassador Preeti Saranji, Professor S.P. Bansal, Professor Rajendra Verma ji, Ms. Niyati, Professor Balkrishan Shivram, and Professor Arvind Bhatt. And dear colleagues and students, my first request is that moving at this stage out is not giving the appropriate impression. Well, I won't take much time because in between there is a question answer session also, and then we have to go for memento distribution also. Within few minutes, I will abstractize the whole G20, what is the philosophical foundation of G20, and in what backdrop this institution has developed. Because very recently an American professor, Ian Bremmer, has come out with the thesis that all these G's are futile and they are not producing anything. He says that if we go for G7, it was a club of the American dominance. All the elite capital club was there. Then he charges G2, which was one-to-one arrangement between United States and China. And since China disowns the global responsibilities in its engagements, multilateral, bilateral, or unilateral, and G3, in which United States, EU, and Japan were the members, they were so much embogged with their internal politics that they were they are not able to be carrying out the global responsibility. This is the opinion of Professor Bremer. The post-World War II political landscape was dominated by the bipolarity, the political bipolarity. We all know the students of political science are not unaware of this because it is part of the subject content. And then this bipolarity ruled the roost till 1991 with the bringing down of the Berlin Wall. And after that, it was believed that we have entered into a new world order, which is multilateral, which is multipolar world. But then this illusion also was short-lived when we found that the new alignments in this out of this political, the multipolar landscape, new alignments are emerging. And again, people are believing there are theories that we are again entering into a kind of bipolarity. I won't go into this discussion. It will take lots of time, for which I needed at least half an hour. I will come to the foreign policy front. See, the Indian foreign policy has paddled forth gradually. It was steady and slow in the first 40, 50 years, but in the last 20 years, especially if I say after the Pokhran II, the significant milestone of Indian foreign policy, it shows a positive and proactive route that India has followed since 1998. And the current government's foreign policy, it has been globally appreciated, though at domestic front and at the subcontinental level, it has certain challenges and protesting voices against it. Coming to G20, G20 was the outcome of the failure of multilateral engagements, for example, United Nations or international organizations. They failed to perform their duties and settle the global issues. So it was believed somewhere after the 2007-8 economic depression, the global economic low, it was felt that the G7 and the dysfunctionality of G7 calls for some another arrangement in which the global south has to be included. And then 19 countries, including the G7 states, 12 more countries were included. It is a group of 19 states plus one European Union, which is an organization. What is new about G20 is that it provides India a platform to guide, to root its foreign policy, to root its presence in global politics, and to assert for its genuine place, which India has been striving hard for so many decades. One thing, the G20, which has been focusing recently, in just 1 minute I will be winding up the things, that we have gone for the non-conventional food grain system, because out of Ukrainian and Russian crisis, there was shortage of wheat. There has been suggestion that India has to go for millet diplomacy. There has been suggestion that since India has been very successful at digital platform, we have been the most successful state. I believe that if we go for the numerical, the statistics of the digital achievements of India, be it Aadhaar card, be it the mobile phones and other financial transactions, India has played a role of a model to the world. So through G20, India has been propagating this, and then the performance of the vaccine diplomacy, the vaccine COVID-19 vaccine that India distributed to more than 100 states has been very significant. So in the last, I would say that India has also been the debt trap crisis that has been the problem of more than 70 states globally who are into debt trap. We have listened about Sri Lanka only, that it was into debt trap of China. But the hard reality is that more than 70 states, Afro-Asian states, Latin American states are down with debt trap crisis. So G20 has been negotiating how to balance the banking policies and how to balance the financial system to inject into the global economy or into these sick economies to save them, to safeguard them from this debt crisis. And there has been lots of stress on infrastructure building. We all know that the current government, instead of going into the governmental achievement, I would say that it is Indian achievement in the last 2 decades. The highways, the roads, the connectivity has increased so much that it reminds me of the statement of John F. Kennedy, who once said that American roads are good not because America is rich. America is rich because American roads are good. So when Indian roads and highways will be good, we are bound to attain the 230, 10 trillion plus economy objective that is there by 2030. And by 2033, I think India will be living behind European Union. This is the projection of IMF or World Bank. I am not recalling right now. So we hope that the students have benefited, and I give my best wishes to the prize winners who have who have put lots of labor to stay here. They know the reasons better. I won't take much time, and I don't want to stay between you and the authorities here. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir. By just concluding that the time has come that we must think about the reforms in the United Nations institutions, reforms in the UN systems, and that's the need, that the voice of the India, the need to be raised on these issues. Thank you, sir. And after listening to our key speaker, Madam Preeti Saranji, and our panelists, that if there is any question that's bubbling in the mind of our young scholars, you can please come forward and ask 1 or 2 questions. Our panelists are here to just, satisfy your quest of question, the knowledge that we want to ask. Any question from the audience side? Yes, please. Cordless mic, please.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, my question is with thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to ask you, if providing the G20 University Connect that is engaging young minds. So, young minds को engage करने के लिए इसके लिए पहले हमारे पास knowledge और information होना जरूरी है, जिसका जो main source है आज में हम देखते हैं digital media and media, of course. Media freedom index report है, it was like 161st rank in India. So, sorry ma'am, I want to ask if particular like index में जैसे हम देख रहे हैं performance, तो अगर मीडिया में भी restrictions हैं, हमारे पास knowledge के valid resources नहीं हैं, how are you and how like our country is going to engage your minds? Thank you.
I do not give much credence to these various bodies that you come up with their various indexes about freedom that you will get 164. It's shocking that some of the other countries like Afghanistan and others are above. That itself shows the credibility of such an institution. You know that in Afghanistan जैसे मुल्क को इंडिया के ऊपर रख के restrictions and freedom of speech. I think it's actually in such organizations that come up with such surveys and so on the other hand, I think we are a very free country. We have to speak what we do and say and do it. And thank you. There's no restriction on. I think
there's no restriction either on media or in social media. So I think my problem is that I think the youth has far too much access to too much knowledge, in which you are not able to sift fake from truth. I think that is where this is the age of social media, where you yourself have to be cognizant enough to understand the sources from where you gain information and knowledge. The good thing is that you have access to a lot of knowledge. But then the responsibility, of course, falls upon some of the knowledge providers to be responsible knowledge providers. And then I think some responsibility and maturity rests upon the recipients of knowledge to be able to tell, shack on the way, to be able to say, क्या सही है क्या गलत, और फिर उस पर बिल्कुल नहीं जाके इस तरह की जो सर्वे वगैरह होती हैं जिसमें इंडिया को क्वेश्चन किया जा रहा है किधर के आ रहे हैं, I think और आंसर
There's only one more question that we can take at this time because we are falling short of time. Yes.
Good afternoon to Karen. And my question is that G20, as you know, is an informal group. How India is trying to give a formal orientation to global policy, being the whole of G20. How India is trying to give a formal orientation to the global community, being the whole of G20 presidency, as the G20 is an informal group.
So I'm not sure I understood the question, but how is India playing a role in getting formal on this? So you know what we are doing in the government structure, there are three branches. There is the Sherpa appointed by every country, and they are undertaking government-to-government interactions and discussions on various things. There are various things. You heard my chancellor mention them here as well. Then there is, of course, a finance track where you talk about global solutions to global problems on finance and economic development. And then there is, of course, the engagement of the people. When it comes to official documents, and finally there is an outcome document, the Mali में summit हुआ था पिछले साल, उस वक्त भी फाइनल आउटकम डॉक्यूमेंट निकालने की कोशिश की गई थी, बस थोड़ा सा कंट्रोवर्शियल हो गया था कि there was one paragraph on Ukraine, Russia, which did not meet the acceptance of all the member countries. So what happened instead was the chair document came out. So we will know finally only in September, end of September, after the summit has taken place, what was the outcome document that will come out, whether it be a consensus document on which all the countries, including Russia, China, US, and others, all agree to a common document, or whether finally we will have to come up with a chair's document, chair as in India. Now, from what I've read, since I'm not part of the negotiations, I cannot tell you what the internal processes are. But from what I have understood from India reports, that by and large there is a lot of consensus amongst all the 20 countries to come to a common understanding on some of the global problems and issues. Where there will not be, I think we really must be put it to the issue of the current conflict in Ukraine, where there might be some conflict. But you know, India, I think, is best positioned to come out with a solution, or certainly the chair's document, which will be the responsibility of the chair to come up with, I think will certainly have acceptability for all the member countries. The important thing is to accept that, you know, the document, the outcome document, will be approved by all the prime ministers and presidents of all the different countries, must deal with what are the current problems that we face globally, and what can the 20 countries collectively do to solve some of the key crucial problems that are confronting the world today.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that this question hour, because we are falling short of time, is over. And thank you, ma'am. One more question. Want to ask? Please, one more question is there. Please hurry up. Please ask your question.
I have a question. I have noted it down, so may I read it? Now, what are some of the major economic and geopolitical issues that have been discussed and debated in the recent G20 summit, and what are your views on that topic?
But every summit has different issues involving. And I think currently, the biggest problem confronting us, of course, the political one, is the problem of the Ukraine crisis. Then there are other issues that are confronting us, and that is, I can tell you that there's a lot of anxiety that has come out of the emergence of China's rise, which has a lot of positivity, but also an aggressive rise, which threatens, of course, the anxiety amongst others, and also threatens the rules-based international order. I think those are some of the issues where the global community can sit together and talk about what can the international financial institutions do to help resolve the problems of crisis in food, fuel, fertilizers. What can the international community do to make the United Nations representative? The fact that a country like India is not represented in the Security Council, we represent 1/6 of the world's humanity, the world's largest democracy, and it is a mockery that India is not represented. So what can the United Nations do to become more democratic and more responsible and more effective? That is another issue. What can the international community or the members of the G20 do to make everybody adhere to international rules and obligations? We've taken on some responsibilities with some members of the United Nations. When we sign international treaties, whether it is climate change, whether it is World Trade Organization, whether it is any other aspects. Those are some of the major issues that confront us today. And I think those were the issues that we reflected in the outcome.
Thank you, ma'am, for clearing the doubts in the young and vibrating minds in a very precise and very clear communicative way. Thank you, ma'am. And now, it's the time. Madam, I have already told you that in Himachal Pradesh University, various activities, they were, under the university, G20 University Connect, various departments organized various activities. And now it's the time for the release of the brochure containing all those activities. May I request the Honorable Vice Chancellor and Madam Priti Saranji to please, and the person sitting on the dais for the release of the brochure. Activities organized by the Yoga Department. International Consultation Meet 2023. There was a national seminar, India G20, Presidency Global Vision that was organized on 22nd June 2023. And then International Yoga Day celebration, Yoga Marathon, National Yoga Workshop. It was organized by the Yoga Department. Inter-faculty sports activity was organized by the Physical Education Department on the 6th June 2023 till 9 June 2023. Awareness meeting of the Biotech Department regarding Investment India Seed Fund. It was organized on 5th and 6th May 2023. Quiz competition and essay competition. It was organized by Department of Public Administration on 16 June 2023. Declamation, essay writing competition, quiz competition organized by the Department of Defense and Strategic Studies on 9 June 2023. And guest lecture, poster making competition, essay writing competition, declamation. It was organized by the Department of Political Science on 30th May 2023. Quiz competition organized by the Institute of Vocational Studies. Sanitation drive was organized by the History Department nearby the University Road and the University area on 9th June 2023. And Department of Microbiology and Department of Forensic Science organized the Buzzing Mind Quiz competition on 6th July 2023. And finally, the Integrated Institute of Himalayan Studies organized the painting competition on related G20 themes. And in brochure, all those activities, they have been printed and highlighted. And now, may I request the dignitaries sitting in the dais to please give the prizes, the token of appreciation to the winners of these activities. May I first invite on the stage the winners from the Political Science Department, Saurabh, Navnita, Anjali, winners of the poster making competition, first, second and third prize. It's a token of appreciation that is given by HP University, Honorable Vice Chancellor and Madam Preeti Saranji, to please give these prizes of appreciation to the students who are winners. Saurabh, first prize in the poster making competition. Navnita and Anjali. Saurabh, Navnita, Anjali, third prize in the poster making to Anjali. I think the declamation competition winners, please come together on the stage so that, because 50, prizes we have to give, so we have to hurry up. Declamation competition, Neha, Navnita and Ritika, please come together. First, second and third prizes in the declamation competition. All political science students, please come on the stage. Neha, Navnita, Ritika for getting the first, second and third position in declamation competition. Now quiz competition team, Ritika getting the third position in declamation competition. And all the quiz competition team members, please come on the stage together. Anil, Neha, Dalip, Navnita, Pallavi, Kunjam, Thenglai, Neeraj, Dinesh, Pradeep, Sehajal, Anjali. And together, I think that one can take on behalf of the whole team and they can distribute later on. That's the quiz competition winner of the Political Science Department. It is organized on theme India G20 Leadership Challenges and Opportunities. Winners of the quiz team, आपकी तालियां कहाँ हैं? Winners of the quiz competition. Now may I call the essay competition winners on the stage? Essay competition winners, Anil, Dinesh and Navnita.
डिपार्टमेंट और उसका सपोर्ट सर्टिफिकेट बाद में दे देंगे ना, मेमेंटो पकड़ा देते हैं, मेमेंटो पकड़ा देते हैं, सर्टिफिकेट हो जाएंगे बाद में।
ठीक है। ऐसे कंपटीशन अनिल, दिनेश एंड नवनीता। May I call the next department? Department of Defense and Strategic Studies. May I call the winners of the quiz competition on cybersecurity threats among G20 countries, Keshav Ram, Abhimanyu, Piyush, Panathu, Anupam Sharma and Sejal Thakur. And the winners of, I think all departments winners, they should come together. Winners of essay competition, these are the winners of quiz competition of Defense and Strategic Studies. Essay competition, Komal Sharma, Kshiti Chauhan and Ishan Dharmani, first, second and third position. Poster making competition, Sejal Thakur, Punam Saini. first, second, and third position in the poster making competition, and then declamation competition, again organized by Defense and Strategic Studies. Again, the Sejal Thakur first position, Kesharam second position, and Anil third position. Now is the turn of the next department. That's the Institute of Vocational Studies. The quiz, it was organized by Institute of Vocational Studies. May I call on stage Sahil, Bist, Himanshu, and Ojas. That was the team members of the winning team. Sahil, Bist, Himanshu, and Ojas. Just please give a big hand as a token of appreciation for the Sahil, Himanshu, and Ojas were the winners of the quiz competition organized by the Institute of Vocational Studies. May I call students from the Department of Public Administration?
I'm ready.
Harsh. The winners of quiz competition, Harsh Hasta, Arun Kaushal, and Anchal Kumari on the stage. Winners of quiz competition organized by Department of Public Administration, and winners of essay competition on theme relevance of G20 in 21st century, Mr. Vinod got the first position, Minakshi second position, Arun Kaushal third position, and Anchal Kumari for getting the consolation prize. The Department of Public Administration organized quiz competition and essay competition on the G20. Thank you. May I call the winners of Integrated Institute of Himalayan Studies, the winners of the painting competition, Kajal, who got the first position, Vasudev Yadav, who got the second position, and Manika, who got the third position on the stage. Just give a big hand for the winners of painting competition organized by RRHS. May I request the winners of the Buzzing Minds, the Department of Microbiology, Department of Forensic Science, Himachal Pradesh University, the Buzzing Mind quiz competition, it was organized by them, and the Chuba Khan, technically called Kritika Sharma, Akriti Thakur, Swati, and Vipla Thakur. Team member 1, Mansi, Nitin Patania, Priya Thakur, Shrishti Tekta, Swapnil, and Sunidhi Sharma. They were the members of the team second. And the team third member, Komal, Yuvraj, Shivali, Vivek, Akanksha, and Neha. All they were the winners of the Buzzing Mind quiz competition. Just give a big hand as a sort of encouragement. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you. Now I think our class distribution, that's over. You can please take your seats. Formerly, in so many prize winners were there because so many activities they were organized and so many students they were participated in those events that make it specific. And now it's the time for the vote of thanks. May I request Dr. Virendra Sharma, a very young and vibrant registrar of Himachal Pradesh University, that to please come on the stage and present the vote of thanks on this present occasion. He's a very vibrating person that who has done a lot in preparing the policies of Himachal Pradesh government, whether it was the narcotics policy, tourism policy, urban governance reforms policy. He's come forward with his vision, and we hope that his vision is going to bring the policies for the reforms in the university also. Dr. Virendra Sharma, Registrar of Himachal Pradesh University, to present the vote of thanks.
I express my gratitude to Ambassador Preeti Saran for undertaking the travel from Delhi to Shimla for this very small event. Ma'am, amidst all the fanfare and fiesta revolving around India's G20 presidency, the way you've broken down it to very simple terms is commendable. Thank you, Ms. Niyati, for accompanying our chief guest to Shimla. A note of thankfulness to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University for undertaking travel from the Central University, Kangra to Shimla. Despite his busy schedule, thank you so much, sir, for making yourself available for the event. I must appreciate the efforts of the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor for providing the leadership during the absence of the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the University. I would be unfair if I do not thank all the people who have toiled really hard to make this short event a very successful event. To begin with, the Dean of Studies, Professor B.K. Shivram, for having a series of meetings conducted on the way the event would be conducted and the event would be hosted. Along with the coordinator of the event, Professor Bhatt, Professor Harish, Professor Nata, Professor Diman. Professor Bhatt especially, who ensured that the coordination between the members of the group and various authorities in university was a seamless one. Also, a special note of thanks to the engineering wing, to the security wing, to the GAD wing, to the pool, to the maintenance staff who ensured that the event is celebrated in a very dignified manner. And last but not the least, special thanks to the gathering in the hall. Without your patience, the event would not have been a successful one. Lastly, I thank everyone who ensured that this event becomes a successful event in the history of the university. I thank you all for your gracious presence here on the dais and in the auditorium. Have a pleasant evening.
We have forgotten this effort done, the tireless effort done by the team led by Professor Harish and his team, Dr. Ashok, that in very, very short time, it seemed almost impossible. They have even up to 2:30 in the morning they were working with the press, and that how this brochure has come. So each and everybody, they deserve special appreciation. And finally, Professor Mamta Mukta, I requested her, and the special thanks to Professor Mukta for each and everything for conducting this, and then thank you each and everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I think it's the time for now national anthem. We conclude the national anthem. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गावे सब जयदाता जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे। थैंक यू। फॉर ए ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ आप सब प्लीज स्टेज पर आमंत्रित हैं। एक ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ अब लिया जाएगा। आप सभी लोग स्टेज जो स्पेशली द विनर्स जो हैं आप स्टेज पर आ जाएं अपने प्राइजेस के साथ और हमारे डीन्स डायरेक्टर्स भी स्टेज पर आ जाएं।
जल्दी बेटा।
हमारे मेंबर्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमेटी के मेंबर्स भी प्लीज आप स्टेज पे आ जाएं। प्रोफेसर धीमान और हमारे डीन डायरेक्टर्स भी स्टेज पर आ जाएं। हमारे फैकल्टी स्टेज पर आ जाएं।